Welcome back to our channel Rare Coins Hub. In today's video we are going to explore something really interesting and exciting. Stay with us and don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's get started. The United States quarter dollar, commonly known simply as the quarter, has been a part of American life for centuries. But when it comes to coins with an intriguing backstory, few have as rich a history as the 1965 quarter dollar. A coin that may seem simple at first glance, yet holds a fascinating story, full of twists and turns, from its creation to its skyrocketing value in today's numismatic world. Let's start from the beginning. In 1965, when the United States was in the midst of a major shift, both socially and economically. The country was evolving, the civil rights movement was in full swing, and there was growing concern over economic inflation. The U.S. Mint was tasked with addressing a pressing issue. The coinage system was facing a severe shortage of silver. As the price of silver surged, the government decided it was time to make a bold move. The mint stopped using silver in many of its coins, and the 1965 quarter was one of the first to feature a significant change in composition. This was the moment that altered the future of the quarter dollar coin. For years, the quarters had been made of 90% silver and 10% copper, a composition that gave the coin its weight and durability. However, with the silver crisis threatening the stability of the nation's monetary system, the U.S. government made a drastic decision. In 1965, the U.S. Mint introduced a new composition for quarters, opting for a clad version. This clad coin contained a core of pure copper, sandwiched between two layers of cupronickel, a copper-nickel alloy. As a result, the new 1965 quarter dollar coin was much lighter than its predecessors and, of course, contained no silver. But why is the 1965 quarter dollar coin so valuable today, given that the change in composition was made to solve a practical problem? It turns out that this shift in material led to a coin with a few key quirks that would end up making it a collector's dream. There was an anomaly in the minting process that year, leading to a number of 1,965 quarters being produced with a unique error. It's these very quarters that are now highly sought after by collectors, driving up the value of the 1965 quarter dollar coin to a staggering $145,000 in certain conditions. Let's delve into the story of this coin's design and production process. The U.S. Mint, which is responsible for producing all of America's coinage, faced a major challenge when shifting to the new copper-nickel clad composition. They had to ensure that the new design was both economically feasible to produce and symbolically resonant with American citizens. The design on the reverse side of the 1965 quarter features an eagle in flight, clutching an olive branch and arrows, which were emblematic of strength and peace. But the changes weren't just about the materials used, they also involved a shift in how the mint approached the overall design. In fact, the 1965 quarter dollar featured a bold new motto, E pluribus unum, which translates to out of many, one. This was an ideal encapsulated in the nation's motto, symbolizing the unity of the states. Now, about the infamous 1965 errors, the U.S. Mint had ramped up production during this era, seeking to fulfill a growing need for currency in a rapidly changing economy. But because the mint was pushing the coin presses hard to meet demand, some of the coins produced had errors in their design and struck in ways that were unintended. For instance, there are reports of certain 1965 quarters being struck without the mint mark, or with marks in places where they shouldn't have appeared. These error coins, especially those with off-center strikes or die clashes, are rare, and rare is a term that resonates deeply in the world of coin collecting. Collectors who first began to recognize the value of these error coins quickly made a connection. These mistakes, born out of necessity and rushed minting, were now valuable relics of a transitional period in U.S. coinage history. The reason for this high value is multifaceted. On one hand, the 1965 quarter dollar coin is simply a symbol of a pivotal year in American history, a time when the country was grappling with inflation, social change, and a turbulent political landscape. On the other hand, the coin's error variants, limited in production and scarce on the market, have driven up the price. It's not just any 1965 $quarter coin that will fetch a high value. Collectors will pay top dollar for specimens that possess these specific errors, with certain versions of the 1965 quarter being worth up to $145,000. When looking at these coins today, it's hard to imagine that such a seemingly inconspicuous item could hold such value. But the world of numismatics is filled with such stories, coins that might have been minted for everyday use yet, through a unique combination of timing, history, and rarity, evolve into prized treasures. The story doesn't end here. Many who hold these error coins might not have even known about their rarity when they first received them. Imagine finding a coin in your pocket change today that you simply didn't think twice about, until years later, you discover it's worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. This is the magic of coin collecting. Over time, the conditions surrounding the coin, along with its historical and cultural significance, shape its value. So, what exactly makes a 1965 $quarter coin with these errors worth such an astronomical sum? The specifics lie in how the coin was struck and the clarity of the error. A coin with a sharp, well-defined error, one that stands out clearly and unmistakably, will command the highest prices at auction. As of today, those who have found or inherited these coins are sitting on a hidden treasure that has only become more valuable with time. It's also worth noting that the market for these coins is highly dynamic. While the value of the 1965 $quarter coin has reached impressive heights, it can fluctuate based on supply, demand, and the evolving world of coin collecting. Many factors contribute to the rise in value, from the rarity of the coin's errors to the overall condition of the coin itself. If you find yourself in possession of one of these rare coins, it might be worth consulting with an expert to determine its true market value. So here we are, at the heart of the story of the 1965 $quarter. What was once a simple piece of currency has now become a symbol of America's journey, and a coveted item in the world of numismatics. But the best part of the story? The 1965 $quarter coin has shown no signs of slowing down in terms of value, and with rare error coins selling for as much as $145,000, it's clear that this unassuming piece of American history will continue to intrigue collectors and investors alike. Let's continue the journey into the world of rare U.S. quarters. After the 1965 $quarter coin, we now shift our focus to the 1966 $quarter coin, another remarkable piece of U.S. numismatic history. If you thought the story of the 1965 $quarter was captivating, then prepare to dive deeper into the mystery of the 1966 $quarter coin. It shares much in common with its predecessor, the 1965 quarter, particularly the shift in material composition. But this time, there's a new chapter to uncover, one that leads us into even rarer error coins, bringing this coin's value into the realm of the extraordinary. Just a year after the United States struck its first non-silver quarters, the U.S. Mint was still grappling with the new coinage formula. The 1966 $quarter, like the 1965 version, was minted from a clad composition, a core of pure copper, layered on both sides with cupronickel. These changes were an effort to preserve the nation's dwindling silver supply, and they marked a critical turning point in the history of U.S. coinage. While the shift was necessary and logical from a financial perspective, it was also an era of rapid transition, and as we all know, such periods of change often lead to unexpected outcomes. At first glance, the 1966 $quarter may seem unremarkable compared to other historic coins. The coin features the classic design of George Washington's profile on the obverse, a depiction by sculptor John Flanagan, and an eagle in flight on the reverse, a symbol of the nation's strength. Both sides carry the familiar Liberty motto, "In God We Trust," and the date, 1966. But don't be fooled by this seemingly straightforward appearance. Like the 1965 quarter, the 1966 version hides something much more precious beneath its surface, a fascinating tale of rarity and the potential for extraordinary value in the collector's market. The importance of the 1966 $quarter lies not only in its composition and design but also in the specific minting anomalies that occurred during that year. These irregularities have turned the 1966 quarter into a sought-after rarity in the world of coin collecting, particularly because of the elusive and highly prized error variants that surfaced in the minting process. Let's take a deeper look at the mint's production efforts in 1966. The U.S. Mint had to quickly adjust to the new clad composition, which had its own set of challenges. There were difficulties in ensuring the coin struck properly, and the die wear, alignment, and press conditions played a crucial role in the final products. These subtle imperfections led to some truly unique and rare error coins, and it's these very errors that have boosted the value of the 1966 quarter to as much as $140,000. One of the most notable errors associated with the 1966 quarter dollar coin is the infamous doubled die variety. A doubled die error occurs when a coin is struck by a die that has been misaligned during the minting process, creating a visible doubling of the design elements. In the case of the 1966 quarter, the doubling was most apparent in the inscriptions around Washington's portrait and on the reverse side of the coin, particularly in the words, "Liberty" and "In God We Trust." These double die errors can be quite subtle, but when collectors are able to spot them, they are instantly recognized as rare treasures. In fact, a well-preserved, error-free 1966 quarter dollar coin can be worth up to $140,000 at auction, but the prices skyrocket for those specimens that feature clear doubling or other unique minting anomalies. The appeal of these coins lies in their scarcity, as very few of them made it into circulation and survived in pristine condition. For those unfamiliar with the term double die, it's important to understand the significance it holds in the coin collecting world. A double die coin doesn't mean that the coin was struck twice, rather, it refers to the fact that the design was misaligned or improperly punched onto the die, resulting in a visible, doubling effect on the lettering and other design elements. This error is especially sought after by collectors, as it represents a flaw that only happened in a small batch of coins, making it rare and valuable. Aside from the double die error, there are other notable varieties of the 1966 quarter dollar coin that add to its appeal. For example, some coins were struck with incorrect positioning, which resulted in off-center strikes. When a coin is not properly aligned during the striking process, it can create coins with parts of the design missing or the design being shifted to one side. This type of error is also highly prized, as off-center coins have a unique look that cannot be replicated in regular, non-error coins. Collectors and investors who specialize in U.S. coins have long understood the potential value of the 1966 quarter dollar. The rarity of the error coins, combined with their historical significance, being part of the first batch of clad quarters minted after silver was phased out, makes this coin a highly coveted item. With a limited number of these error coins known to exist, the demand from collectors far outweighs the supply, thus driving the market price up to astonishing levels. The 1966 quarter dollar coin tells the story of a nation navigating change, economically, socially, and politically. The shift to clad coins in response to the silver shortage was a crucial step in the nation's coinage history. And in the midst of this transition, the 1966 quarter was born, carrying with it the potential for rare and valuable error coins that would go on to become highly prized collectibles. As the years passed, the value of these error coins only increased. In today's market, it is not uncommon for a well-preserved 1966 quarter with a double die or off-center strike to fetch prices upwards of $140,000. The rarity of these coins has made them an attractive investment, and they are often passed down through generations of collectors, who recognize the historical and monetary worth of this seemingly modest coin. So, what makes the 1966 quarter so valuable? First and foremost, the errors that were made during the minting process in 1966 make it stand out from the rest of the quarters produced that year. The rare varieties of the coin, particularly those with double die errors and off-center strikes, make them highly desirable to collectors. But beyond the errors themselves, the 1966 quarter is an iconic piece of American history, representing a time of transition in the nation's coinage and reflecting the cultural changes of the era. The 1966 quarter dollar coin, with its intriguing errors and deep historical connections, continues to be a highly sought-after item in the world of coin collecting. As we've seen, certain versions of the 1966 quarter are worth up to $140,000, and as collectors become more aware of the coin's unique features, its value may continue to rise. In the end, the 1966 quarter dollar is more than just a piece of metal. It is a symbol of a pivotal moment in U.S. history, a moment that changed the nation's coinage forever. Its enduring value and appeal make it a must-have for any serious collector, and it's clear that this coin will remain an iconic part of the numismatic world for years to come. Let's move on to the next chapter in our journey through rare U.S. quarters. The 1967 quarter dollar coin brings with it another fascinating history, filled with quirks and valuable rarities that continue to capture the attention of collectors. As we continue, we'll explore how the 1967 quarter fits into the larger story of U.S. minting, its design, and what makes it an exciting piece of numismatic history. The story of the 1967 quarter dollar coin begins much like its predecessors in the mid-1960s. Just like the 1965 and 1966 quarters, the 1967 version was part of the Great Transition from the traditional silver-based coinage to the new clad coins, which featured a core of copper sandwiched between layers of cupronickel. By this time, the U.S. Mint had firmly moved away from using silver in the majority of its coinage, except for a few specific issues like the half dollar. However, the 1967 quarter dollar stands out among these earlier coins because it represents the final year of this particularly unique phase in U.S. coinage, where the country's economic and social challenges mirrored the changes in the mint's production processes. What makes the 1967 quarter dollar so special is the blend of historical context, design evolution, and, as with the other coins from this era, the presence of rare and highly valuable error variants. The design of the 1967 quarter is essentially unchanged from that of the 1965 and 1966 issues. The obverse features the classic portrait of George Washington, based on a design by John Flanagan, which had been used for several years in U.S. quarters. The reverse side depicts an eagle in flight, clutching an olive branch and arrows, which symbolized peace and strength, respectively. On both sides, you will find the inscriptions, "Liberty, in God we trust," and the year, 1967. But despite the seemingly straightforward design, what truly sets the 1967 quarter dollar apart is its connection to the emerging world of error coins. While error coins have been a part of numismatics for centuries, the 1967 quarter gained a reputation for containing some of the most interesting and rare mistakes of the entire 1960 series. It's within these errors that collectors see the true value of the 1967 quarter, making it one of the most sought-after coins for those in the know. One of the most exciting error varieties found among the 1967 quarters is the double die obverse, a classic error in which the coin is struck multiple times in slightly misaligned positions, causing the design to appear doubled. In the case of the 1967 quarter, the double die effect can often be found in the inscriptions around George Washington's portrait, particularly the word "Liberty." The doubling is not always immediately obvious to the naked eye, but to the experienced collector, this flaw is unmistakable, and a clear example can fetch incredible amounts at auction. The precise degree of doubling can vary, but it's the best examples that make a coin truly valuable, with some specimens going for as much as $135,000. But the double die error isn't the only anomaly that makes the 1967 quarter such an interesting coin. There are also reports of off-center strikes, where the coin wasn't fully aligned with the press, causing parts of the design to be missing or offset. These off-center coins have a striking visual appeal, literally, and they stand out in a way that non-error coins simply cannot. These off-center 1967 quarters, especially those with large portions of the design missing, are highly sought after by collectors who appreciate the aesthetic appeal of these unusual minting flaws. Beyond the specific errors, there is another compelling factor that has contributed to the rise in value of the 1967 quarter dollar: its historical significance. As with many other coins minted during periods of social upheaval, the 1967 quarter is emblematic of a nation in flux. The United States was experiencing profound social changes, from the height of the civil rights movement to growing anti-Vietnam War protests, and this period marked the end of one of the most transformative eras in modern American history. The quarter, in all its forms, became a witness to the country's evolution, a simple piece of currency that reflected the complexities of a changing world. The move to clad coins, which culminated with the 1967 quarter, was necessary but not without controversy. Many people still cherish the traditional silver coins, and the move to copper-nickel clad coins was seen as a blow to the value and prestige of U.S. currency. Yet, as is often the case in numismatics, what was once seen as a downgrade or a cost-saving measure became a fertile ground for the creation of rare and valuable error coins. The 1967 quarter stands as a reminder that even in times of change, beauty and value can emerge in unexpected ways. So, what exactly makes the 1967 quarter worth such a significant amount in today's market? The primary factor, as with the other coins in this series, is the rarity and desirability of error coins. The double-die obverse coins, with their clear and sharp doubling, are the most valuable of the bunch. These examples are prized not only for their rarity but also for the artistry that comes from these production mistakes. Collectors value the distinctive nature of these coins, and the fact that they were produced at a time when the U.S. Mint was undergoing such dramatic changes only adds to their historical importance. Moreover, the condition of the coin plays a crucial role in its value. Like all rare coins, the better preserved the 1967 quarter, the higher its potential value. Coins with minimal wear and with clean, well-struck designs are worth significantly more than those that show signs of circulation. In fact, a well-preserved error 1967 quarter can easily surpass the $100,000 mark, depending on the specific error and its condition. Collectors are also drawn to the 1967 quarter for its connection to the broader history of U.S. coinage. The fact that it represents the tail end of the silver era and the beginning of the clad era makes it a unique transitional piece in the timeline of American currency. The 1967 quarter thus serves as a bridge between two important periods in the history of U.S. coinage, and its value reflects that significance. As the years have gone by, the rarity and appeal of the 1967 quarter have only increased. In recent years, the demand for rare coins has surged, driven by both seasoned collectors and new enthusiasts who have discovered the world of numismatics. The 1967 quarter, particularly those with errors, continues to fetch higher prices at auctions, and it's clear that this coin will remain an important piece of U.S. coinage for the foreseeable future. Today, the 1967 quarter-dollar coin is worth up to $135,000, with certain rare error varieties fetching even higher prices. The combination of historical significance, production quirks, and the enduring appeal of error coins makes the 1967 quarter a must-have for collectors, and its value is likely to continue to rise as more collectors discover the uniqueness of this particular coin. Now, let's explore the story of the 1972 quarter-dollar coin, which takes us into the early 1970s, a period of continued experimentation and refinement at the U.S. Mint. The 1972 quarter is not just another coin from this transitional era, it has a fascinating tale of its own. Through unique errors and distinct minting features, the 1972 quarter dollar continues to be one of the most coveted coins in the world of numismatics. The 1972 quarter dollar marks another interesting chapter in the evolution of U.S. coinage, especially when we look at the years following the mint's shift to clad coins in 1965. This period was a time of continued experimentation with the new copper-nickel clad composition, and it was also a period when the U.S. Mint began working on refining its methods. The 1972 quarter, however, brings a fascinating twist into the fold, offering collectors and historians alike something of great interest: rarity, design elements, and, most notably, some impressive minting errors that have solidified its place in numismatic history. On the surface, the design of the 1972 quarter appears to be quite standard. The obverse of the coin continues to feature George Washington's portrait, as designed by John Flanagan. Washington, our nation's first president, stands as the enduring symbol of American ideals, liberty, and strength. The reverse features the majestic eagle, soaring with wings outstretched, holding an olive branch and arrows, reinforcing the themes of peace and power. The coin also bears the familiar inscriptions, "Liberty, in God We Trust," and the year, 1972, much like its predecessors, but as with the other quarters from the 1960s and early 1970s, the true story of the 1972 quarter is told in the unique details that make it rare and valuable, specifically, a series of minting errors that would capture the attention of collectors for decades to come. The primary error that has catapulted the 1972 quarter into the spotlight is what is known as the double die variety. This error is particularly significant for the 1972 coin because it became one of the most famous double die errors in the history of U.S. coinage. To understand the significance of the double die error, we need to first take a step back and look at how coins are struck. When a coin is made, a die, essentially a stamp with the coin's design, is used to imprint the design onto a blank piece of metal, called a planchet. A misalignment during the die creation or an improperly struck die can result in what is called a double die error, where elements of the design are duplicated on the coin. In the case of the 1972 quarter, this doubling appears most prominently in the lettering of "Liberty, in God We Trust," and the date, 1972. The doubling effect on the 1972 quarter is noticeable to the keen eye, especially when the coin is examined under magnification. The letters and numbers appear slightly offset, creating a ghosting effect that is highly characteristic of double die errors. The most famous and valuable of these 1972 double die quarters are the ones that feature clear, crisp doubling, especially on the "Liberty" inscription. A coin with a prominent double die error, particularly one that is well preserved and shows the doubling with great clarity, can be worth tens of thousands of dollars. Collectors eagerly sought out these double die 1972 quarters, recognizing them as a rare phenomenon. As time passed and these error coins began to surface more frequently, the value of the 1972 double die quarter continued to rise. Coins that are in excellent condition, with sharp and visible doubling, have been known to reach incredible prices at auction, with some specimens fetching upwards of $122,000. The allure of these rare varieties is undeniable, making them one of the most desirable coins for those in the numismatic community. It's important to understand that not every 1972 quarter is a double die, and this is part of what makes the coin so exciting. When collectors speak of a double die 1972 quarter, they are referring to a specific error variety, not the coin as a whole. The majority of 1972 quarters were minted with the standard, non-error design, but it is the relatively small number of coins that exhibit this doubling anomaly that sets them apart. Beyond the double die error, there are other fascinating quirks that can make a 1972 quarter rare and valuable. For example, some of the 1972 coins were struck off-center, leading to missing portions of the design or a misalignment in the overall pattern. These off-center strikes, while not as famous as the double die errors, still have a certain charm and are prized by collectors who appreciate the uniqueness of these minting imperfections. Another interesting feature of the 1972 quarter is the fact that the U.S. Mint was still refining its processes in the early 1970s. The Mint's efforts to perfect the new clad composition and improve the overall quality of its coinage were ongoing, and as a result, some coins, including those from 1972, exhibited unusual patterns of die wear, die cracks, and other small imperfections that can increase the coin's appeal. These factors, combined with the presence of the double die error and the overall rarity of well-preserved 1972 quarters, have made this coin a standout in the world of numismatics. The 1972 quarter's value is also influenced by its historical context. The early 1970s were marked by significant economic and political change in the United States. The country was grappling with inflation, the aftermath of the Vietnam War, and the Watergate scandal, which would soon dominate the political landscape. Against this backdrop, the 1972 quarter served as both a product of the mint's new strategy and a reflection of the era's economic challenges. By the time the 1972 quarter was minted, the U.S. Mint had mostly transitioned to the clad composition that would define much of the quarter's future. The need to economize, to preserve precious metals, and to ensure the longevity of U.S. coinage was ever present. These shifts in policy and production techniques, combined with the random nature of minting errors, have ensured that the 1972 quarter remains a symbol of both the technical advancement and occasional flaw that characterizes the United States' journey through the 20th century. In today's market, the value of the 1972 quarter dollar is most dramatically influenced by the presence of the double die error, which makes it an incredibly sought-after coin among collectors. A well-preserved example can fetch up to $122,000 or more, particularly for those pieces with the most pronounced doubling. The rest of the 1972 quarters, while not nearly as valuable, still hold a place in the hearts of collectors, especially those who are looking to build a complete set of U.S. coins from the 1970s. While the 1972 quarter may not have the same widespread fame as some of its predecessors, it has carved out a niche for itself in the world of rare coins. It embodies the story of the mint's transition to clad coinage, the persistence of errors and oddities in minting, and the relentless pursuit of perfection within a flawed system. For numismatists, the 1972 quarter offers an enduring legacy of the intricate balance between art, engineering, and chance, and for those who find the right coin with the right error, it can be a truly remarkable piece of history. Now that we've examined the fascinating history of the 1972 quarter dollar coin, we move forward to the 1973 quarter dollar coin, the final coin in this journey of rare and valuable quarters. By this point, the U.S. Mint had solidified its use of the copper-nickel clad composition, and the silver era of U.S. coinage had firmly come to an end. The 1973 quarter, however, holds its own distinct place in numismatic history, not only as part of this transformative era but also for the rarities and unique characteristics that make it a sought-after piece among collectors. The 1973 quarter dollar coin was minted at a time when the U.S. was dealing with economic instability and was going through the final years of the Vietnam War era. It's important to remember that this was a period of great social, political, and economic upheaval. The coin itself, like the others in the late 1960s and early 1970s, reflects the end of an era in American currency as it marked one of the last years in which the country's coinage was predominantly produced from the clad composition, a mix of copper and nickel, instead of silver. In terms of design, the 1973 quarter is quite standard compared to its predecessors. The coin features the well-known image of George Washington on the obverse, designed by John Flanagan. This design has remained relatively unchanged since it was first introduced in 1932, continuing to honor Washington's legacy as the nation's first president. On the reverse side, we once again see the soaring eagle clutching an olive branch and arrows, symbolizing peace and strength. The inscriptions, "Liberty, in God We Trust," and 1973, complete the design. However, it is within the historical and numismatic context that the 1973 quarter really begins to stand out. By 1973, the U.S. Mint had been producing clad coins for 8 years, transitioning away from silver and fully embracing copper-nickel clad coinage. This shift was in direct response to rising silver prices, which were making silver coins increasingly costly to produce. The Mint's adoption of clad coins was a cost-saving measure that became standard for most denominations, and by the early 1970s, it was clear that silver would no longer be a major component in the majority of circulating U.S. coins. While the design itself had remained largely unchanged from earlier years, it was the minting process in 1973 that gave rise to some very intriguing and valuable error coins. In particular, the 1973 quarter is notable for certain minting inconsistencies and the errors that emerged from these slight issues in the die-making and striking processes. One of the most famous and valuable errors from the 1973 quarter is the off-center strike. Off-center coins occur when the blank planchet, the piece of metal that is stamped to produce the coin, is not properly aligned in the press. As a result, part of the design is missing from the coin, or the design may appear shifted or misaligned. In the case of the 1973 quarter, these off-center strikes can be particularly striking, pun intended, and highly desirable. The more extreme the misalignment, the more valuable the coin is considered. Some extreme off-center 1973 quarters have sold for as much as $118,000 or even higher, depending on the extent of the error and the coin's condition. Error collectors often seek out off-center coins because of their distinctive and visually appealing characteristics. A 1973 quarter that is off-center might have an area where a portion of the eagle or Washington's portrait is missing or where part of the lettering is cut off. These coins stand out because they appear to have been made incorrectly, which is exactly what makes them so interesting. The rarity of these errors, combined with their visual intrigue, makes off-center 1973 quarters incredibly valuable to collectors, especially when they are in excellent condition. Beyond the off-center strikes, the 1973 quarter is also known for containing die cracks, another form of minting anomaly. A die crack occurs when there is a crack in the die used to strike the coins, which then transfers the crack pattern onto the coin's surface. While die cracks may seem minor to the untrained eye, to a seasoned collector, they represent an opportunity to acquire a coin that is distinct and rare. These die cracks can often be found on the design elements of the coin, particularly around Washington's portrait or along the edges of the lettering. Depending on the size and visibility of the crack, these coins can also fetch higher prices. Another fascinating aspect of the 1973 quarter is the production numbers. Although the 1973 quarter was produced in large quantities, it is relatively harder to find high-quality specimens without wear, making well-preserved coins more valuable. Coins that are graded at higher levels, such as MS-65 or MS-66, mint state, can command much higher prices than coins with more wear or damage. The rarity of high-grade, error-free 1973 quarters is what adds to their overall appeal, while the minting errors associated with the 1973 quarter may not be as iconic as the famed double die of the 1972 quarter. The off-center strikes and die cracks are significant in their own right. These errors have been appreciated by collectors not only because they are relatively rare but also because they represent a visual and technical anomaly that showcases the intricacies of the minting process. What also makes the 1973 quarter an appealing coin for collectors is its place in the larger story of U.S. currency. As one of the final years in the transition to clad coins, the 1973 quarter symbolizes the culmination of the mint's adaptation to the new composition. The 1970s were a time of change, and the 1973 quarter stands as a reminder of the economic shifts, social changes, and the ongoing evolution of U.S. coinage. As for its current market value, a typical 1973 quarter in good condition is not worth much more than its face value, 25 cents. However, as we've seen with other quarters from this era, the coins that exhibit unique errors are the ones that command the most attention. A 1973 quarter with an off-center strike or a notable die crack can easily reach $118,000, depending on the severity and condition of the error. Coins with these defects, especially in excellent condition, have a much higher demand in the numismatic community. The 1973 quarter is not just another coin to add to a collection, it is a piece of history. It's a reminder of the U.S. Mint's efforts to maintain the country's coinage amidst economic difficulties and rising silver prices. It also highlights the ongoing process of refining minting techniques, which would continue to improve as the mint moved into the next phase of coin production in the years to come. With the 1973 $quarter coin, we now reach the end of our exploration of these rare and valuable quarters from the 1960s and 1970s. Like its predecessors, the 1973 quarter stands out in the world of numismatics due to its historical significance and its association with rare minting errors. Whether it's the off-center strikes or the die cracks, this coin continues to be an important part of the broader story of American currency. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the 1965, 1966, 1967, 1972, and 1973 $quarter coins. These coins are not just pieces of history, they represent the intersection of art, economics, and the intricate world of coin production. From the errors and anomalies to the larger historical context, these coins have much to offer both casual collectors and serious numismatists alike.